well, I think it is really interesting that language can be such a subtle and yet such an influential way in which we perceive things, because I think we're all talking about the same things ultimately, but I would never have said I work in the sustainability space. What I am passionate about is growing good and defying this traditional belief that business is a trade-off and that business needs to make profit, and the trade-off when it makes that profit and is therefore successful, the trade-off is people and planet and society. I think there's absolutely a way where you can have a successful business and not have that trade-off. So that's what drives me. And the work I do is either with corporates, and to Sam's point about adaptation and innovation, I think often what happens is when a corporate is looking to really fundamentally question that scenario, that we end up looking at a self-contained sort of startup module, or at least something very self-contained within the business. But I think the trends that are really exciting for me, and Maria mentioned the B team last week, is that what's happening is momentum is building and building, and both Andrew and Sam mentioned this as well. But now we're getting all the different hierarchies of pushing for change really starting to enter the scheme. I was very excited by the B team because this is true captains of industry at the very highest levels, iconic business leaders who are arguing for systemic change. The kind of work that I do with my clients is much more down in the ranks, operationally saying, we can make this business better, or we can change a not-for-profit model where you don't have to have a begging bowl, but we can create a sustainable revenue stream. So that's at the operational level. And then we've got all these different movements like Shared Value, like Conscious Capitalism Australia, who are all out and coming at it from slightly different angles, but either demonstrating with case studies or lobbying or lobbying for change that there are ways of reducing negative externalities, overcoming those, and in fact creating positive externalities. There are plenty of young business models now, like sort of that are working for the bottom billion on the planet, that are really also showing that. So I'm excited by these kind of layers of movements and activists and engagement now that are coming right up and through the sort of the value chain, or the hierarchies, if you like, of business, and seeing real momentum there. Well, I mean, if we start at people at one scenario, whether it was product red or work I'm doing with one of the big four banks now, customers at the end of the day, consumer power is incredibly influential. But the work I'm doing with this bank and have been doing for nearly a year now is looking at one whole half of the market, and that's the women in Australia, and realising just how under sort of served they are in the sense of really tailored products and the like. But actually our answer has moved right away from any commercial activity and has gone right back to saying there are some fundamental issues about inequality in this marketplace for women, whether it's they're the fastest growing homeless demographic over 60. That's the or that there's obviously pay discrepancies and superannuation discrepancies. So we've gone and are likely to create a social venture for something that's looking at the whole, which started with a problem of looking at customers and a commercial opportunity, and saying before we can do that with credibility and authenticity, you actually have to look at how to be a better kind of corporate player.
Fantastic.